Welcome to Power Girls Power Hour for the month of February 2026. That's crazy. I cannot believe we're already about to hit March, but we still got a couple weeks left. But anyway, today we have a special guest, and her name is Robin McCoy. She's out of Dallas, Texas, and she came highly recommended to me and thought that April Pertwee is actually who recommended her because she has a great funnel. And her funnel is not only a good funnel that maybe we could use as realtors, but also as we're aging ourselves. So, Robin, thank you so much for bringing this talk to us today. I'm really looking forward to it personally. And I know our ladies are going to all get some great value out of it today. So, Mary, do you have anything else to add to that? No? Okay. Well, Robin, we will just go ahead and give you
I was
the
talking to
ability.
myself. Sorry,
Oh,
guys. I'm just so excited that you're here, Robin. Thank you so much. And I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to see what
Well,
you have to
that
teach
sounds
us
like a lot
today.
to live up to, but I'm going to do my best.
well, we're
So I have
excited.
some slides. I mean, they're just some photographs to kind of talk a little bit. So I don't know if I have sharing screen options. I didn't
You
think about
should.
sending them to you
You do
ahead of
now.
time. I
You
do?
do.
Okay. So, okay, here we go. I usually have other people that do this for me. So if I get a little wonky, um, anyway, thank you so much for having me. I have this kind of this talk and this program that I do along with my real estate business, a little bit kind of about me. I've been in real estate since 2008. So I've been doing this here in Dallas for a minute. And one of the things that I noticed as I got older is so did my clients, and then so did their parents, and so did all kind of the people around me. And one of the things that I realized is we were coming up against some, I don't want to call them problems, but some things that we maybe hadn't seen before. And I started learning different things like by the time, but in 10 years, so by 2025, there will be more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 18 living in our country. And that is for the first time in recorded history, right? We are living much longer, and people are waiting longer to have children if they choose to have them at all, and they're having fewer of them. So the demographics of our country are changing, and with that comes, different situations. The majority of the homes owned in the United States are owned by the baby boomers. The cost of senior living has gone up more than what anyone would have imagined. I don't know what it is where you all live, but you can't in Dallas, you can't darken the doorstep of a senior living community of any of any reputation, I'll say, for less than $5,000 a month. And that is before you start adding on additional levels of care. So we're seeing a lot of things happening where people are staying in their homes longer. That may or may not be the best idea for them. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to go, and they need help. And so there is a market for real estate agents that that can serve this client. And that doesn't mean that anybody with a license can't serve them, because they can. However, I think it takes a certain person, a certain patience, a certain finesse, a certain caring. It's more than just the transaction. And so that's kind of where I found myself in this space about 2 years ago. And that's kind of where my story begins. I'll just kind of go through again. This is me. I've been a licensed realtor here in Texas since 2008. I host a podcast. I call it Relax, I Got This, Embracing Life After 60, where we talk about everything that people want to talk about and a lot of things people don't want to talk about. But it's about education and learning, not only for the senior and the aging individual themselves, but their adult children and the people that love them. I'm a senior home coach and I am a speaker as well. So we're going to back up a little bit and just kind of tell you, here's my story. And this is kind of one that I tell people when I am speaking to seniors and to their kids, and the information I try and put across in my podcast. I will never forget the day that I had to climb through my mother's apartment window in order to get to her. I was working about 30 minutes away from her house when she called, and she pretty much literally said, so those of you that are my age will remember the commercials, I've fallen and I can't get up. And that is where we were. I was 30 minutes away. I think I got to her house or her apartment in 20, calling my sister along the way and realizing I don't have a key to her apartment. I don't know why. No idea. I was on the verge of calling the EMTs when we realized the window was open, and I was able to climb through the window. And I will never forget climbing through that window and seeing my mother on the floor, kind of peering over the coffee table and kind of chuckling and smiling. She had dragged herself from the bedroom all the way into the living room so that she could get to the phone and call me. And that was the moment, right? Everybody gets a moment. And the truth is, the signs had been there for quite some time, right? For years, her mobility had started to decline. She was living in denial and refused to do anything about it. And my sister and I, we just let it roll. We just let it roll. We tried a few things, tried to make suggestions, and Mom wasn't having it. She wasn't having it. She's still she's 89. She's still cognitively fine. And so now you're arguing. And anyway, we backed off. And though the signs were there week after week, day after day, and we just chose not to see them. So how many times have you said, just show me a sign? God, if you just show me a sign, I'll quit the job, I'll sell this house, and I'll move someplace more manageable. Just show me a sign, and I'll finally do all the things that I know I need to do. And we've all said it. We've all delayed decisions because we're waiting for the sign. And as realtors, I think we are seeing this more and more, maybe not even with our clients, but in our own lives as well. So in 2019, I decided to do something a little bit crazy. And I set a goal to walk 100 kilometers across northern Spain on the Camino de Santiago on the French way. I was going to walk the 100 kilometers and do that. Years earlier, I had watched a movie called The Way. Maybe you've seen it. Emilio Estevez plays a son, and he is walking in the Camino. He is estranged from his father, played by Martin Sheen, and Emilio Estevez dies on the Camino, and his father follows his path to try and understand his son a little bit more. He ends up having a very deeply emotional experience. And I'm watching this movie. I'm like, that'd be cool. But then, of course, life happens and those things fade away. So fast forward several years, and then a colleague in my real estate office walks in one day and says, I'm going to go walk on the Camino. And I said, wait a minute, I wanted to do that. Why can't I do that? I want to do that. And that felt like another sign that maybe I could. Cindy was my age. Cindy wasn't any different than me. So why couldn't I do that? And still, I put that aside. And then a business coach finally said to me one day, she said, are you ever going to do this? You talk about it. What are you waiting for? And then I said, yes, I am. And that's when the signs started to show up for me. After I said yes, I started researching Facebook groups and articles and stories and blogs. And one day while I was in my car scrolling Facebook waiting on a client, I saw an ad that said there was going to be an author at a bookstore in Oak Cliff here in Dallas, and that author had written The Camino Way. So there's another sign. I walked into that room. It was filled with probably 50 or 60 people from all walks of life, different ages, different physical abilities, different backgrounds. And I just sat kind of in the back and in the middle and just listened. And I just kept thinking, show me a sign that I can do this and I won't just fail miserably at it. So when it came time for the Q&A, I raised my hand and I said, I'm 57 years old. I don't speak Spanish. Clearly, I am not athletic and I don't hike. Can I do this? And the room erupted with, yes, of course you can. You have to go. Absolutely, you can. And that was the sign that I needed to just move this dream forward. And as I was leaving, the author signed my book and he signed it, Robin, your Camino begins when you decide to go. And that's what I want to talk about today. Using my experience on the Camino to help you recognize signs maybe within yourself or your clients or your own family and making some of the decisions that may need to be made. The signs that our clients need to make changes are often right in front of them. We see it a little more clearly because, well, frankly, it's not ours to see, right? It's not ours to decide. It's not our family. It's not our home. It just isn't our responsibility. And yet it probably is. How can we help our clients with understanding and care and help them see the signs that are in front of them to make a decision, and that we're not just looking for the transaction or the next deal? All too often, we let age, ability, family, fear, other people's opinions stand in the way of what we know is best for our own longevity or our own well-being. And again, we're looking for signs. God, just give me a sign to sell this big old house. Give me a sign to just let go of all this stuff. Show me a sign that it's okay to go on an adventure of a lifetime. The signs are everywhere. We just don't pay attention. So my Camino was full of signs from decades before I went to all the way through the journey and even after I returned. And I just want to share some of those signs with you and see where they land on your heart and in your mind. On the Camino, there are signs all along the way that show you which way to go. Often they're very clear and easy to read. They have a nice big blue seashell with an arrow telling you to go left, telling you to go right. These are easy to see. They're in well-manicured parks and along the way. In life, they may look like this. You're 65 years old. All the bedrooms and showers are upstairs, which are getting harder to manage and climb, by the way, and it's time for a single-story home. Or you just had your first grandchild, and it's just time to move closer. Or you want to travel the world, and this house with the swimming pool and the big yard are just too much for day-to-day care. They're clear, they're apparent, and it's easy to follow. We don't fight those signs. In fact, we welcome them. A client, Susan, called me telling me she was ready to move, ready to sell this house. She's retiring and can work remotely from anywhere. All she needs to do is decide if she's moving to Florida or Arizona. It's a clean, clear-cut sign that the time is now. And those are easy to manage. But sometimes signs are harder to see. They might be on a wall or on the ground or on the side of a building. Sometimes they're faded over time. And sometimes they're worn down by thousands and thousands of footprints or footsteps that have worn it down along the path. One day I was walking along the Camino and I was deep in thought. I was by myself. I went on a solo trip across the Camino. So I didn't have people I was talking to, and a lot of people don't speak English, and they're being Camino all, next to you and moving along. And I was in my thoughts and I thought I was following the path. And then one moment I looked up and I was in the middle of a cow field, literally in a cow field. There were cows everywhere. And I thought, oh my God, how did I get here? What happened? Now, sometimes in life we do veer off course, right? We don't even realize it. We delay, we avoid, we just don't want to look at what's going on around us. In my mom's case, the signs were very clear. It was one of those slowly then suddenly situations. What started years ago as back pain was now progressing to numbness in her toes, in her feet, in her legs, to where her mobility was declining, and she just didn't want to face it. Absolute denial. And frankly, neither did my sister or I. And she would fight us anytime we brought it up. So we just let it ride. And once the urgency was over and she was safely in a new place to live with the care she required, she just said, I don't know how this happened. It happened so fast. Well, it wasn't fast. Sometimes the signs are there, but they're just hidden behind overwhelm or fear. And working with senior clients can be a long play. We have to work on their timeline and understand that this could be a 6-month or longer relationship before a sign actually ever goes into the yard. Decluttering, downsizing, a house that no longer feels safe. Things are too high and step ladders feel too risky. The project feels so big, it feels so heavy. They stop seeing the signs altogether and they just say, you know what, I'm fine. I can stay right here. And then suddenly they're out in a cow pasture wondering how they got there and will they ever find their way out. Now they're overwhelmed. Now their health is poor. Now they can't do it on their own. But what happens is, when you find yourself in the cow field, you don't quit the Camino. You don't abandon your client and now your friend who they've come to trust you to find their own way and just to call you when the house is clear. You just retrace your steps. You find out where you went off course and you begin again. So you don't declutter the whole kitchen. You start with one drawer. Then you go to the cabinet with all the Tupperware and the lids. And then you go to the pots and pans that we all use one saucepan, one frying pan. Do we need all the others that we haven't used in 20 years? So you wind your way back to the path that leads you to the goal in the first place and how you actually want to live. Now, Paul and Carolyn have lived in their house for over 50 years. They're in their 80s. She has a spinal injury and he has his own back problems. And they are ready to move to Austin to be closer to their daughter in an independent living down in Austin, Texas. Paul and Carolyn are very aware that they can't take it all with them. They know that they're going to be in less than 1,000 square feet, but what do they take is their question. They don't know exactly where they're going to, so they don't know exactly what it's going to fit or how exactly it's all going to look. But in our conversations, we have discussed that they can keep anything. They just can't keep everything. And getting them to know and understand which ones or which of those anythings are important to them. And it isn't that they want or need all the items. It's just that they're used to having them. They're used to having all the certificates and the awards on the wall. They're used to having these items and gifts from grandkids and kids, and they're just used to having them, even though they never need them anymore. So as realtors, if you are not going to be the one that is physically helping them remove the items from the home, and you can choose to be the declutterer or downsizer, that is a very valid path in the senior niche. But if that's not going to be you, then you really have to have some reputable and solid, trustworthy resources so that you can refer your clients to, that you still stay in the loop and get them to the finish line. Your connections in this niche are everything, because often, like these folks in their 80s, they don't know anybody. And unfortunately, people do prey upon our seniors. And so you need to make sure that your connections are safe and trustworthy. Now, some signs on the Camino are a little messy. They're covered in graffiti. They're covered in memorabilia. And I look at these as just other people's noise on top of your own goals, right? So this is everyone else's opinion about what you should do with the house, the belongings, the stuff, where you're going, what you're doing, when you should sell it, how you should sell it. And this can overwhelm seniors, right? But mom, you said you'd never sell the house. Or the spouse who isn't ready to make that change. The guilt. This is the house my kids grew up in. Oh my gosh, how can I ever sell this house? The kids' trophies, the pom-poms, the basketball hoops, the sporting equipment that is now free storage in your house. Or they say, don't throw that away. I want to keep that. And yet they never come and get it out of the house. So all that clutter and all those things, they really block the sign that is pointing our clients forward and showing them the way to go. They know that this house is too much. The swimming pool, the big yard. I was with my mother-in-law. I was terrified that she was going to fall in that swimming pool. She didn't walk real well. She kind of wobbled. And I was terrified that she was going to fall in that swimming pool. But all the noise around kept her in that house. They'll stand in the middle of the room, all the stuff surrounding them, sleeping in the recliner or on the sofa because the bedrooms are upstairs, taking what we used to call bird baths in the kitchen sink because the showers are up there as well. Now, Peggy, another friend of mine, could barely walk. She couldn't sit in a regular chair for any length of time because of her back pain. And she had lived in her house for decades, raised her kids there, and it was full of a life very well lived. The problem were the bedrooms and the bathrooms were upstairs, and it was getting more and more difficult and really more unsafe for her to navigate those stairs. She was caught up in the thoughts that she needed to leave the house to her son. That's all she had to leave him. That was the legacy. So sometimes you have to look past the graffiti or follow the direction that you know is right for you and cutting out the noise of others' opinions and stories that our clients tell. They tell themselves this, and so they tell you, yes, but I need to keep that because, well, my kids, that belongs to my kids. And it is our job to help them move to those places where that stuff can go away and guide them on ways to have conversations such as, I need you to come get all your stuff that you want out of my house by October 31st, because as of April 1st, it's all up to me. And having some of those conversations, because this is one of the hardest things for them to do. But when they get past that piece, then your phone will ring and you can move on to the next phase of this. And finally, there are signs that just give you too many options. Go left, go right, go up, go down. Which way do I go? What do I do? Do I sell the house and buy a smaller house? Do I sell this and buy a condo? Do I sell this and rent something? Do I move to independent living? Do I move to assisted living? There's so many questions and there are so many options. And many times people don't understand really what those options mean and what it looks like. Now, Vicki called me after procrastinating picking up the phone and calling me for about a year. She's 72 years old and is tired of her keeping up with a 2,500 plus square foot house. And she has an image in her mind of what she wants, but she just doesn't know what it is or where it is. Is it a 55 plus community? Is it a CC&R? Is it independent living? Is it a condo for older adults or just a regular condo building? Is it a small single family or patio home? On the Camino, I stood right in front of this very sign, and to the left was a very steep hill that you could not see the bottom of, and I'm not going to lie, it terrified me. And then to the right was a nice little flat path that just took a bend in about 50 yards. So, of course, I took the less treacherous route. But I'll tell you, once we rounded that bend, there was a hill just as steep as the one on the other side, the one I had avoided. So I had to walk down this hill sideways, convinced I was going to tumble all the way to the bottom. And that's really what life is, right? We don't know what's around every corner. We can't predict illness, we can't predict loss, and we can't predict change. All we can do is assess where we are today, make some educated guesses of where we'll be tomorrow, and make the best decisions we can with the information that we have. What we can't do is make no decision at all. Again, I go back to my mother in this. By not making a decision, she was making a decision. And it's a decision. And often it is often the worst one, because it will cost you time, it will cost you money, and it will cost you aggravation. So when we're working with our senior clients, it is important to know and understand all of the options that they have available to them. And yet we can't make necessarily the decision for them. Peggy, I thought she should have moved to assisted living. She insisted on independent living. And now I worry that she's going to have to move again. We can tour with them and we can work as placement agents if that's a path that you want to take in your business, or we can refer them to placement specialists who know the inventory. Because it's important that you match the community and the client as best that you can based on finances, medical conditions, and future health issues that they may or may not have. But you want to assist in the decision making, but again, ultimately it's up to them. And no one wants to move twice, especially when you're 80. Especially when you're 80. So I guess I just have questions for you. What signs are you seeing with your clients? Are you seeing people or even your own loved ones are trending upward in age, and therefore you're seeing their needs changing? What skills and tools do you feel like you need to learn to serve this community and this population at a higher level? So basically, what's your Camino telling you? What thoughts do you have?
Hello, this is Elizabeth. So first of all, thank you very much. When I saw the topic for today's Power Girls, I thought it was very synchronistic because I just not 10 days ago signed up for the SRES certification, in part inspired by watching what my mom is going through, and in part by trying to pay attention to the signs. Somebody put it in the chat, the silver tsunami, and just being better prepared for it. But
yeah, it's and I think everybody kind of aside from the people that just look like this is going to be a quick turnover of transactions, so we're going to take those people out. Anybody that really wants to work in this space, I think typically comes from something that they have seen or it's happened to them. A parent, a grandparent, a loved one. You've seen something that makes you realize these folks are going to need help. They're just going to need help. Not everyone has a daughter that is right there to help them. Right? They may live a long way away. They may be estranged. They may not have any children at all, for any number of things where people just don't have somebody to help them. And so they're going to need somebody that is knowledgeable, trustworthy, and patient to help them through this.
Hi. I just wanted to mention that I currently have two clients that are showing signs of dementia. And, I come from a previous background in social work, so this was right up my alley, and they don't have children, they don't have family, and they have nobody to help them.
Yeah.
Really, really very sad, but such a great need.
Yes. And they may, if they don't have anybody, they may want to look at getting an elder attorney. So that, because there's a whole other talk of, and concern about wills, trusts, POAs. and all these sorts of things to make sure that not only do they have documents in place, but they have somebody that can act on their wishes should they not be able to vocalize something. So that's where elder attorneys, they're just, that's where they come in. Otherwise, you start falling into guardianship. And that's going to be different in every state, obviously. Well, I wanted to give you guys just a little something. This is just a little freebie. You can scan the QR code there, and you can take this and reproduce it if you'd like. It's just a little freebie to give away if you're doing senior talks or you're doing, if you want to give a freebie away on your socials or whatever that looks like. It's just a little checklist for seniors and those that care for them. What are the things that they need? Do you have somebody that specializes in Medicare or Medicaid that you can ask questions of? Are you involved in a local senior center for resources and activities and socialization? Isolation is like one of the leading causes of decline in our seniors because they are so isolated. So, do you know where you might want to go should you have to leave your home? That sort of thing. So you guys are free to grab that if you choose.
I have a question. I have a question. And so this is a funnel that I've always thought I wanted to do. And I don't really have the time and I travel a lot, so it's really not a good fit for me, even though I love it. I absolutely love it. I was raised by my grandparents and they were older, and I was with both of them when they died and passed. And sorry.
It's okay.
It's really
it's a hard thing.
Do you run across a lot of people that don't have anywhere to go?
Yeah, we do.
And can't afford to be in a home or can't it's almost it just breaks my heart to think that those elderly people are out there, and in the future it's just going to be more and more. So I was just curious, not to bring the call down, but
well, and there are resources for them as well. And yes, there are people here in DFW in Dallas where I am, and I am fortunate. So when all this stuff went down with my mom in 2023, I didn't have a clue what was happening, what I should do. There were many tears in the cab of my truck and the lobbies and conference rooms of assisted living, and because no one would take her because she could not. The irony of assisted living is you actually have to assist them, not that they assist you. So because she couldn't stand up on her own and needed extra assistance for all of her mobility, nobody would take her. And so we were at a loss. And I knew people in the industry, right? I knew people that own assisted living and memory cares. They are experts in Medicare. I have a very good friend from my 20s who was I had to pull her out of retirement as a CEO for Medicare Wisconsin, United Healthcare Medicare Wisconsin. I had to pull her out of retirement so somebody would call me back. And so not everybody has, that card to play. And I was so frustrated. And fortunately, and this is actually becoming more common, is you're seeing residential care homes.
Yeah,
and you may be familiar with
several of those.
Yes. Now you have to be careful because the licensing on that can be a little, wonky, if for lack of a better term. But a friend of mine owns 2 in Denton, and so I was able to place my mother there, and she is thriving. Now this particular organization also has a nonprofit that funds people who have nowhere else to go and have no money. And so they're she calls them non-funded, and they're funded by the foundation. So their care is taken by the foundation, keeps them out of Medicaid skilled nursing, because
That's
Medicaid
great.
beds are, but that's where people, unfortunately, right now, that is where a lot of people will end up, is in skilled nursing. And it's even worse if they have memory, cognition problems, or any dementia. So
Thank
you're right.
you.
That is kind of a bummer, but it is, there are things out there. And I just think it's really important for us as realtors to really have some of those resources in our back pocket, because we can't bring them all home with us. And we can't, with the cost of in-home care as much as $12,000 a month, not many people can afford that.
Well, thank you very much, Robin. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts or comments, anything at all?
Well, thanks for having me. I hope that I was able to, I hope I didn't scare everybody off from working in this.
No, and I hope I
niche.
didn't either. It's a great and very rewarding. I know Jennifer Lind is an agent that
Yes.
we have here in New Braunfels, and she absolutely loves it. And this is her funnel, and basically, I think it's her only thing, and it just keeps her busy. She's always doing events. It keeps her active, and I just always thought I'm going to do this someday. But my someday hasn't come. So
and maybe it is someday still, right?
yeah.
And it's still okay.
Yeah.
And if it can't be you, then find somebody like a Jennifer Lind in New Braunfels, so that if you run across a client that you just don't have the bandwidth and the time, then refer it to her.
Absolutely. She would definitely get it.
But so if it's not you, right, for whatever reason, and there's no shame in it, when one of my great colleagues here in my office, she gets this fleeting thing across that she thinks this would be great. And I'm like, no, this is so not for you, because she doesn't have the patience for it. And she's looking at that instant stuff. And I'm like, this isn't, I love you.
I'm looking for the clients I don't have to talk to and that are not going to call me for anything at all. Those are my clients.
Then you need a network with probate attorneys, because they're the only ones that aren't calling you.
That's a good one.
All right.
Thank
you so much. So we've got a couple questions. We've got Susan and then Sherry.
Susan, you're muted.
I'm sorry, I got on a few minutes late.
Sure.
SES, is that through NAR, or do you just check with your board? And
SRES is a designation through NAR, and it gets you a little bit. It teaches you some things. It is not by any means a deep dive into this, but it does give you. I think it's a good designation to have. I think it's a good thing to do, and see if you really do want to go deep into this. And it gives you a working knowledge of what this senior community is like, but it does not teach you all the things at all.
If I emailed you, I don't know if I mentioned, if you said something at the start, kind of how a good way to get into it. Could I send you an email?
Absolutely. I've kind of, and I work with a group called the Senior Home Coach, and I'm happy to share that information with anyone. If you're interested, please just email me. I'll put my email in the chat in case you missed it on the screen. Let's see, what's my email?
Senior Home Coach, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. I'll send you a message and I'll look it up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's only been around for about a year or so. So it's still kind of this movement that is growing. So because of the need, right? And it's a group of not just realtors, but also occupational therapists, their placement people. So we're learning from each other on how to manage this very growing and very important demographic.
Yes. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, Sherry, you're next.
Do you have any resources in California, or is this something I should email you as well?
Why don't you email me, because California is a big place, and let me see who I've got and what you're looking for. But yeah, we do. San Diego, LA, and Orange County, all throughout. So absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anything else? Well, thank you so much, Dawn. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Mary, thank you, and everybody for tuning in. And if there's anything I can, again, help with in the future, please don't hesitate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin.
Bye. Thank you.